Hello, okay, this works, welcome. It is 6 p.m., September 11th, 2023, Johnson County Courthouse, West Phoenix. My name is Melinda Griesmer. I will be conducting this evening in the absence of Jonathan T. Myers. Today is September 11th, also known as Patriot Day. 22 years ago today, we saw many step up in an act of courage to save others, and many who died needlessly. Let us continue to not forget. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order with a roll call. Here.
Pamela Burton.
Present.
John Mallard.
Here.
Ron Deere.
Here.
John Myers.
Here.
John Dittmer.
Here.
And Jonathan T. Myers absent.
Okay, we will have a moment of silence right now to recognize the day that we are having, and we'll follow in by an invocation by Pam Burton, and then the Pledge of Allegiance.
As a council, we are united in purpose and dedication to serving our community. We come before you with humble hearts to recognize and remember the tragic events that unfolded on September the 11th, 2001. Our prayers are for those who lost their lives, for their families who continue to bear the pain of their absence, and for the healing of our nation. We ask for your protection over our first responders who selflessly put their lives on the line every day to keep us safe. I'm sorry. We ask that you guide our discussions and foster cooperation in order to work together harmoniously. We offer this prayer in remembrance of all of those who are and have been affected by the events of 9/11, and in the hope for a brighter, more peaceful future. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we've got our agenda this evening. We do have one addition. Amy, if you want to correct me if I'm wrong, there's one addition that we will add to the very end for the Indiana WIC transfer request to cover remaining end of fiscal year costs. Is that correct, Amy?
It'll go as D5.
Oh, you said D5?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so, all right, so do then we, can I get a motion here for the approval of tonight's agenda?
Make a motion to approve tonight's agenda as presented.
Okay, Ron Deere gave us our first approval.
So are you adding the amendment
All right,
as amended?
John Dittmer.
As amended, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
As amended.
as amended, thank you. So we got a first motion by Ron Deere and a second by John Dittmers. We'll make a motion. Does everybody agree? Am I saying this right?
Well, so call for any further discussion, and there is none, then ask for a call for a vote.
Oh, okay, so does anybody have anything to discuss? All right, I'll take a motion.
You already got the motion, so just
You got
call
the
for, so call for a vote. All those
Okay,
in
let's
favor?
go ahead and take a vote then to approve of tonight, September 11th, 2023 agenda. Everybody say aye, if they
Aye.
agree. Aye.
Aye.
Any
Any
nays?
Here we go.
Okay, so it passes. All right, before we go to public comments, Ron Deere has something he would like to read that occurred today in the commissioners' meeting.
This was a proclamation of the 236th anniversary of the Constitution Week, September 7th to 23rd by the commissioners, where it is a privilege and duty of the American people to commemorate the 236th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America with appropriate ceremonies and activities. And where the public law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now therefore, we, by virtue of the authority vested in us and Johnson County Commissioners of the state of Indiana, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week, and urge all citizens to study the Constitution and reflect on the privilege of being an American with all the rights and responsibilities which that privilege involves. And witness here too, and in all the other legal stuff. I also wanted to point out, and since we don't meet again before this happens, the bicentennial is coming up. The museum, he brought up the other day, this Thursday, from 6 to 8, they're having a bicentennial open house. And on September the 30th, there's a parade. G. Franklin likes parades, so there's going to be another parade and heritage presentations by the museum, and that's going on from 10 to 10. And then also November 10th, there'll be a bicentennial ball that more information will be coming out of that on the future.
Oh, thank you, Ron, and thank you for the commissioners for passing that resolution to observe Constitution Week. I will now leave the floor open for public comments, and you're limited to 5 minutes per person. Okay, no one is here for a public comment, so we will close public comments. We now have a meeting within our meeting that we also need to recognize. The first preliminary determination public hearing on the general obligation bonds series 2023. We will convene a public hearing today, September 11th, 2023 at 6:07 p.m. to receive comment on the first preliminary determination on the general obligation bonds series 2023 and on the ordinance 2023-05. Members of the public appearing at this hearing have a right to be heard regarding the general obligation bonds series 2023 and ordinance 2023-05. First reading. We would like to open the floor up to Jeff Peters for disclosures.
Hello all, appreciate the opportunity to be here. As you've done in the past, this is your annual general obligation bond that you have done. This one, however, is a little bit above a threshold that requires a set of disclosures be made before the public hearing. This one, as well as the next one. So I will just walk you through those. One, the percent of county's current and projected debt service payments divided by the net assessed value of taxable property within the county. The net assessed value is approximately 0.06%. Number two, the percent of the county's outstanding long-term debt coupled with the outstanding long-term debt of other taxing units located within the county divided by the net assessed value is approximately 5.5028%. The maximum, number three, the maximum term of the bonds is 5 years. Number four, the maximum principal amount of the bonds is $6,765,000. Number five, the estimated interest rates on the bonds are 5%. Number six, the estimated total interest cost for the bonds is $321,000. Number seven, the description of projects to be financed with the bond proceeds: acquiring vehicles, acquiring and installing certain equipment, completing certain projects, and making certain improvements and renovations. Number eight, following statement must be provided. If the county council adopts a resolution making a preliminary determination following the second public hearing on October the 9th, a notice of that determination would be published, and property owners or registered voters would have 30 days following the publication to file a petition requesting the application of the petition remonstrance process for the proposed bonds. Number 9, the county's current debt service levy is $6,470,596. And the current debt service rate is 0.0631, or approximately 6.31 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. Number 10, the estimated increase if the bonds are issued to the debt service levy is 0. There is no estimated increase. The 2024 estimated levy and tax rate are $5,642,000, and the rate is 0.0519. Number 11, the estimated increase to the county's debt service levy and rate that will result during the following 10 years if the county issues the bonds, after all, also considering any changes that will occur to the debt service levy and rate during that period on account of any outstanding bonds or lease obligations that will mature or terminate during that period. The county anticipates keeping a flat debt service tax rate for the next 10 years. Estimated levy and rate for 2024 through 2034, the levy would be $5,642,000 and a rate of 0.0519, or 5.19 cents per $100 of AV. Those are your disclosures. Be happy to answer any questions on those. And I'll be available for other questions afterward if you'd like.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
We now have to leave the floor open for public comment on this. If you come up, if you please state your name, your address, and you are given up to 5 minutes to comment. The floor is yours. Would you please check, see if anybody is online? No one's online. Okay, we will go ahead and close our public comment section regarding this first reading. I need to, first reading of ordinance 2023-05. Is there any discussion here by anybody on the council? Okay. I need to entertain a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 2023-05.
I'll move to approve as presented.
John Myers gave the first motion. Do I have a second motion?
Second.
Okay, Ron Deere gave us our second motion. Any discussion here on the council or on those motions? Okay, we'll go ahead and take a final motion to close the first reading of ordinance 2023-05. Does everyone agree? Say aye. Aye. Any nays? Okay, we will close
So
that.
Real quick, to be clear, we taking a vote on approving the ordinance on first reading?
And then we're going to do another one.
Okay.
Okay, so we also then now have to entertain a motion to approve the ordinance here. I'll entertain a motion to approve it.
I'll move to approve as presented.
Okay. John Myers will, has made the first motion to approve the ordinance. And I need a second.
I'll second.
Okay. John Mullers gave the second motion. Any discussion by the county council? None. We'll go ahead and I'll entertain them. Everybody who agrees, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, we'll move to close. If there's no further business to discuss, we'll make a motion here to adjourn the public hearing and then carry on with the rest of the regular agenda.
Move to close the public hearing.
Thank you. John Dittmers gave the first motion to close.
Second.
And John Myers gave the second motion. Everyone say aye to close.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, we are closing that. We are moving on to the rest of our agenda. We have routine matters. In section D, the consent agenda, by a single motion, the board approves the following items, which may include salary ordinance amendments, additional appropriations, reductions, and transfers. Any items listed on the consent agenda may be removed by a council member and moved to the regular agenda. We have D1, approval of 8/14/23 regular meeting minutes, problem-solving court, 2020 juvenile 2023 account 9186, cooperative extension service account 1001-0116, VASA guardianship fees account 4203, and the addition from WIC, Indiana WIC, to cover remaining end of fiscal year costs. I will entertain a motion to approve these items. Do I have a first motion? No one, is there any that you want to separate out?
No, we just want to sit here.
Oh, well,
I'll make proof.
Second.
John Dittmers gave the first approval and John Myers gave the second motion. With a single motion, we'll go ahead and move to approve it. Everyone say aye. Any nays? No nays. Okay. We will move on to the salary ordinance amendments, additional appropriations, reductions, and transfers. E1, Circuit Court, account 1001-0131. Go ahead, Sheena.
Sheena Johnson, Court Administrator. We're asking for some additional appropriations to cover interpreter services for our courts. What questions do you have?
No questions on the council? Okay, I'll open. I'm open for a motion to approve $30,000 for interpreter services.
I'll move to approve as presented.
John Myers gave the first approval to approve as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Ron Tier gave the second. Everyone say aye if they agree.
Aye.
Any nays? No nays, we will move on.
Thank you.
Section E, item number 2, Superior Court number 3, account 1001-0134 for overtime and $5,000.
Hi, Doug Cummins, Judge, Superior Court 3. So I'm prepared to take any questions you may have. We have 4 current staff. We don't really need a 5th. I'd rather not pay one for all the benefits that come with it, but we do use overtime. We have currently conducted 4 jury trials this year, which is unusual for a criminal court. We have 3 more that have confirmed before the end of the year. And because of the volume of the court, we do not shut our regular court down when we have jury trials. So we bring in a pro tem judge. That requires additional staff because I have 2 of them with me when we do the jury trials. There has to be somebody in the other courtroom, out there in the courtroom with the pro tem judge. There has to be somebody in there to answer the phone. So that's where the request came from. I realize that it's out of cycle, but I would rather not come here at the beginning of the year and ask for a bunch of money that I don't think I'm going to need, but that's the position we're in right now.
Okay.
Move to approve.
All right, John Dittmers
Second.
gave the first approval, motion to approve, and John Myers gave the second. Any discussion by the council? If no discussion, we'll go ahead and take a vote. Everyone say aye if they agree. Aye. Any nays? All right, that passes. Thank you very much. Section E3, user fee / jury fee, Superior Court 3, account 2501-0134, jury expense in the amount of $30,000.
So again, I'm welcome to take any questions, but with the numbers that I just gave you, they pay for jurors doubled in June. That has run through our money. So, and we still have 3 more to do before the end of the year.
Doug, is this all accounted for as far as what you've forecast in the 24 budget?
We did.
Okay.
Yes, we took that into account. We didn't know that it was coming in June, but we did account for it in the new budget. Yes.
Okay, thanks. I'll move to approve as presented.
All right, we got a first motion from John Myers. Do we have a second motion?
Second.
Okay, John Mullers gave a second motion. Everyone, we'll go ahead and take a vote. Does everyone agree? Say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right, that passes.
Thank you again,
Moving
ma'am.
on to E4, user fee / jury fee, Superior Court number 11, account 2501-0132 for jury expense for $30,000.
Good evening, Kevin Barton, Judge Superior Court 1. It's probably hard to believe, but Doug and I didn't coordinate the figures. It's just a coincidence.
Just say ditto, Judge. Just say ditto and you'll be all right.
Well, my situation is we have a trial looming starting in October. It's scheduled to last for 5 weeks. In addition, we still have 4 other trials that are set. Probably as Doug has indicated, the jury fees have doubled, although the user fees have also increased. So hopefully over time that money will be recouped, but that's the basis of what's going on.
I'll move to approve as presented.
All right, we got a first motion by John Myers to approve as presented. Do we have a second? Okay, and John Mullers gave the second. Any discussion? No discussion. We'll go ahead and take a vote here. Does everyone say aye?
Aye.
Any nays? All right,
Thank you.
that passes.
Thanks, Judge.
Section E5, Community Corrections Juvenile. Account 4950, Professional Services in the amount of $10,000.
Good evening, Damon Cox, Assistant Director for Juvenile Community Corrections. Seeking an additional appropriation within our juvenile project income account to account for increased expenses during this calendar year.
What are your increases? What are they?
Well, as we presented during budget hearings, our referrals to the Juvenile Justice Department have really doubled, in some regards quadrupled. We've run about 1,500 cases through our programs through the last fiscal year. Truancy referrals are up. Just within our truancy programs, we're running just over 1,000 cases through. With that, we have more costs in electronic monitoring. We switched companies, costs went up. We have better monitoring over our juvenile offenders, but in order to get better monitoring, you have to pay more. And so we're seeking additional monies to do so.
Damon, I see that your cash balance in the fund is enough, more than enough to cover that, correct?
That's correct. We have roughly 99,000-ish within that cash balance right now.
Can I ask why then are you coming to the council?
Because I have to appropriate the money before I can spend it.
I'm sorry, you're right, appropriated. So do we have a first motion?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
All right, first motion by Pam Burton, second by John Mullers for the amount of $10,000 for professional services. Go ahead and take a vote. Does everyone say aye? Any nays? All right, it passes. I'm
Thank you.
going to take section E 6 and 7 together, since we're transferring money for salary. Section 6, E6, statewide 911, account 1222. Field Services Administrator, FICA and PERF. And then number 7 is IT, GIS account 1138-141. As well as just to transfer the salary.
Jeff West, IT GIS Administrator. If you have any questions about that.
Please note that items 6, B, and C are not needed.
Yes, items, section E6, B, and C are not needed as they are in section 7.
No, I mean, they were budgeted until 22 to begin with, not needed.
Okay, we'll remove those. Any questions at all from the council? Can I get a first motion from someone? John Dittmers gave the first motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second. I got a question.
Yes.
Are they gonna do this every year?
No, we're just moving it. This is to pay the rest of the year so I can hire somebody to take that position. And then in the budget, we've moved it over to my account so that the person will always be under me instead of the public
Okay.
safety.
Okay,
One question.
yeah, so we have a first motion by John Dittmers, second motion by John Myers. Does everybody agree? Say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? So that passes. Thank you. Okay, so we're in section F on the agenda, other business. So we've got to discuss the budget. Joy. We had at the end of the second day of the first reading, we had Amy run off some numbers for us so we could take a look to see how it affects us in our budgeting for next year, 2024. We have a second reading this Thursday, and this evening we have to make a decision. So we have to let the departments know how to plan. So are we, during the first reading, we talked about a 5% increase. Are we going to change it to 6 or 7%? Are we going to keep it at 5%? So I'm leaving the floor open for discussion, and then we'll have to make a vote and decide.
I think the decision was made that 5% for all elected officials would stay the same. So we can kind of get that off our plate. And I think we were all in agreement prior to that any newly created positions that the salaries were brought up over that 7%, that the additional would not be added to those. And I think it was decided that the work that had been done by the Public Safety Committee would be sustained or left as it is with any discussion that anybody wanted to have. And Melinda, that's really all that I gathered from the emails. So I don't know what everybody else thinks.
Well, I think we have to make, a suggestion, a solution, or asking me a recommendation. And I think we need to have an open discussion and then a vote on whatever is recommended. So to start the discussion, I'll make a recommendation of everything that Pam just said, with the exception that the salaries be increased to 7% on those that weren't, and those that were over. Outside of what she just said about public safety, we brought down to 7% uniformity. And you should entertain a motion for it a second, and then we have a discussion and then see what happens and have a vote.
Can I just ask one question before a motion is made? Is that possible? Amy provided us with some numbers, and I think even at the end, we got some information from, I believe, Ron, you got some information from Mike Reuter?
No.
No, we didn't. We never got
from
anything from Mike Reuter.
I just forwarded it.
It's in our emails.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Does anybody have a chance to look at it to see what the differences are?
Been paying attention to this meeting. How can I do that?
I haven't looked at it. I assume by looking at the numbers that Amy provided with the lowering and the raising up to the 7%, it's pretty much going to be a wash from the original requests, from the original budgets. So if in fact 7% is what is decided on the bottom line of the budget, I don't think it's making that much difference in the
And that was going to be my follow-up question during discussion. So I'd like to see us have a a motion on a second so we can have further.
Okay, so let's
discussion.
make sure we're all in a clear understanding of what the motion is here. So we're gonna keep all elected officials at 5%.
Correct.
The work by public safety, the sheriff's deputies. Are you saying that you wanna, they came to the first reading asking, I believe it was for 7.5%. But you're saying that we should just keep it uniform at 7%?
No, I said as presented, they had individual positions that were different than the 7%.
Right, okay,
So it's as presented by the sheriff and public safety positions.
okay. And then what was the other item? Then you said those
And then-
positions?
And then the positions that were at 9% that were suggested throughout departments at 9%, be brought down to 7. Those were at 5, be brought up to 7. With what Pam said about the positions that were modified.
And knowing that when we do go into the second reading, each of the departments will come up, I'm sure there's going to be some individual line items that's gonna need to be discussed again that we may have missed or may not have seen, or information we may not have taken into consideration. But I think what we need to what we need to do tonight is to get the consensus to go from the original 5 on the recommendations to 7, with exception of the public safety, knowing that things would be talked about at second reading. That's the way I saw it, so I don't.
So-
I
so
agree.
Is that
How-
a second?
No, that's not, no, I want, other
And
people.
then to clarify,
Is that
the
what this-
elected officials are where? At
5%.
or at 7?
5.
I'm sorry, elected
Five.
officials at 5,
Okay, thank you.
elected officials,
That-
no elected official
Yeah.
more. Now, there is one exception to that, I believe. That's the surveyor who came before us.
Right.
And we increased that salary based on certifications and things. I think
And
that's
that happened
out.
this morning. so.
Yeah. So other than that, yes, 5%.
Amy, this thing that you sent us, it said with the 7% and the 6%, is that with the public safety, the sheriff as presented? Or is this 7% flat?
Yeah, on this one here, it's got the notes of what changed.
And the sheriff's basically stayed the same in her proposal, I mean, in her documentation,
As presented?
as he presented it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any comments down here, questions, concerns? Speak
Well-
now, forever hold your peace. Well,
No,
maybe
well,
not
no,
forever,
No,
but
we gotta have a second.
no, I just wanted to reiterate, we had a first motion by Ron Deere. I just want to reiterate what the motion is. If you could say it again so that we all have a clear understanding of what that first motion is.
Pam can help me on this if I screw
Well,
up. 5% on the.
I have a question. Do we need a motion, or will it take a motion
Well,
to do
so
that?
like, this is not reading 1.5, right?
Right.
You guys did a first reading, everyone's been motioned and approved as presented for the most part from first reading. I think the goal tonight would really just be a motion to recommend
Right, so I recommend.
to the elected officials, department heads, what the council is expecting, anticipating for second reading, just to hopefully
Okay.
streamline what has been thus far, maybe a bumpier road than we anticipated. So we're not making any changes, things as presented. I think this is more just for the public and their sake, what this body expects to happen at second reading. And, as Councilwoman Burton mentioned, there's going to be specific line items and specific employees that may be reclassified or specific things that the department heads, elected officials can present to you individually, as to the body on Thursday that the council can then, take action at second reading. This is really
Right,
just.
and
to
my motion
inform-
was to recommend. It
Right.
wasn't a motion to approve the budget. It was a recommend with these changes as was discussed.
Okay, so if I could also ask the department heads, directors to take a look at their budgets.
I think Amy.
Well, no,
will-
that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I think, Amy, or Elizabeth, Amy, how does this work? Then you will do an email out to all the department heads and ask them to resubmit their budgets. Okay, and work with them individually and do you have any questions for us? Because I know you're gonna get the questions they don't understand. Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna, it's not a motion, but we're under the consensus that.
No, I'm calling for a vote.
Mhm.
Oh,
I'm
you
calling
wanna-
for a vote for a recommendation, not for a consensus.
Okay, all right. So Ron Deere gave the first motion to approve 5% for all elected officials except for the surveyor, and that's based on certifications. Public safety left as is, as presented in the first reading by the sheriff. And those positions that were brought up in the first reading that were requested to be at 9%, we're going to bring those positions down to 7%.
When correction on that they vary.
That they exceed the
They
7%.
exceed the 7%. They vary.
Okay. So do I have a second motion? Any questions?
Is this moving any, like juvenile detention or whatever to lit? In these numbers?
I don't think so, John, but I think that's something we can do at second reading. I think the only thing we're trying to do tonight.
I'm just asking. I didn't know. That's what I'm asking.
So
Yeah,
we,
I don't think it
I've inquired of
does.
DLGF. We're still waiting a response from them. Based upon our reading of statute, we should be able to, which will be effectuated by an ordinance that'll be handled at our October meeting. So we'll work on between now, hopefully between now and second reading, we'll hear back from DLGF. The liaison I've communicated with in the past has been out since Friday and should be back in tomorrow. So hopefully between now and Thursday, we'll have an answer to that specific question. And then the mechanism should be just to do an ordinance amending the jail lit ordinance from 2019 to lay out in more specificity what we're using these funds for, which would be for, community corrections, juvenile detention, personnel, operating expenses, et cetera. So
But we aren't affecting that tonight.
not tonight, no.
And nothing's dependent on that answer by what we're doing tonight, correct?
Things could still change at second reading.
I think tonight is really just to give the peanut gallery
Something to go on.
direction of what the council's expecting, at second reading from, really just salary raises at that.
So Ron Deere gave a first
I'll
motion.
second the motion.
All right, John Dittmers gave the second motion. Everyone say aye, that agrees?
And additional discussion.
I'm sorry, what?
Any additional discussion?
Any additional discussion? Okay, and everyone say aye, that agrees? Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay. Any other business? Any old or new business? Just wanted to announce that budget hearings, we have our next hearing this Thursday, starting at 8:30. Second reading. I will entertain.
And also at 1:00 is the
Binding.
binding units.
Okay, noted. I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting this evening.
Make a motion that we approve, adjourn,
Okay,
approve to adjourn.
second motion. Oh, come on, guys, this is
Nobody
better
wants to
going home.
Second.
All right, first motion by Ron Deere, second by John Mahler. Is everybody agrees? Say aye. Aye. And we'll see you on Thursday. Have a good night.